This episode is presented to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Welcome back, All the Smoke. Jack, it's been a nice 2-day run. We get to end it off learning something.
Yes, sir. With some substance.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Excited about this next episode. I started hearing about you maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. I know I was late to the party, but glad we finally got a chance to sit down. This episode is for boys, young men, fathers, uncles, brothers, husbands that might be struggling with manhood or suffering in silence. We have someone here to talk to. 6 million men are affected by depression in the United States every single year. Men die by suicide at a rate 4 times higher than women. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, finally. Yes.
Man, it's a pleasure, man. Jason Wilson. I mean, let's get to it. I mean, we were doing a little bit off camera, and I wish the camera was on it because it was just real and in depth. Just this mental game. We all fight for our physical appearances and the strength, muscular bodies and all, but there's not as much emphasis. There's a little bit more now, but just on the mental aspect of all this. And that is, to me, is the most powerful aspect of all this. Talk to us about what got you into this space and why you're so passionate about it.
I saw the ill effects of trauma early on as a young boy. My grandfather was lynched in 1935 or 36. And my mother and her siblings had to live with that happening, but then also the aftermath, because the police who beat him and lynched him for being just desiring to be a human being and treated that way, they continued their racial terror after he died. They wanted to make sure that there would never be another Estes Wright to rise from within the family. And so that the entire community ostracized my family, my mother's family. So you in the black community and everyone is scared to be around you. So now you're alone with that, and now you're feeling like you were the problem and almost blaming yourself for your own father's lynching on a psychological level. Travel down maybe another 30 years, I start to see it play out in my mother's life. My brother, Larry, she had to get, her first marriage was very abusive. My brother's father would beat them with the flat sides of butcher knives, would slap them at the table with that, shoot guns in the home, and then beat our mother senseless at times. That trauma carried on into me when I was born in 1970, but 3 years after that, my brother Larry was murdered. One day, my mother, while I was in high school, had a nervous breakdown. And that was the first time I saw that the brain wasn't created to hold all that we've been conditioned to believe that is like strength or admirable that we do, especially as black men. What doesn't kill us can only make us stronger. No pain, no gain. Even from childhood, big boys don't cry. Mm-hmm. When you tell a young boy that when he gets older, you wonder why he shuts off. He's apathetic and doesn't want to communicate with you. He's been programmed that being expressive of his human emotions and his right as a human is not only counter manhood, but also is viewed as weakness. And so growing up, never wanted to be appearing weak. And so seeing all of this and then seeing my friends who fell into the trap of what I call misconstrued masculinity or misunderstanding of masculinity and seeing them die, friends getting shot and killed, and then my other brother Keith getting murdered, I said something is really wrong with us, and not necessarily with us innately as men, but the way we've been programmed. And after all of that trauma and then seeing the ill effects of it on my family, when I got married, that's when I realized something was wrong with me. Because I was conditioned to believe that. Got married at 28.
Okay.
Hadn't resolved my father wound, hadn't grieved the death of both of my brothers. Just the disappointments in life. I pursued music. I was sharing with someone off camera that I used to be a DJ. That was my desire. Chris Webber, we talked about him. I produced his album. And all of those dreams had shattered, and I had all of this unresolved anger. So when I got married, there was no room for empathy, compassion, patience. I never knew those characteristics. I only knew what it meant to be strong, dogmatic, powerful, bold. if you're not a comprehensive man, it's impossible to truly be a husband, because you have to be more than a protector and provider. One day I'm talking to my wife in the kitchen, and our son Jason was born, and I wanted to spend more time with him. And I simply said, I wish I had more time to spend with Jason. All Nicole said was, I wish you desired to spend that much time with me. What I heard was another knock on what I wasn't, another knock on who I was as a man, something else I wasn't doing. But all my wife was saying, I long to be with you the way you long to be with your son. Because I wasn't an emotionally stable man, a verbal processor, a comprehensive man, I snapped, started yelling at the top of my lungs, hit the refrigerator. And within that moment, my wife, my beautiful wife, Nicole, just sat down. And in the process of that, I saw that I had crushed her spirit. And that's when the Most High said, you got major issues you need to resolve. You can't keep running from them. I can't even use you until you become a comprehensive man. And so that journey took me into psychotherapy. I was able to uncover where a lot of my unresolved anger came from. It was from my dad, like most of us. If the hero in your life isn't invested in you and you're not the apple of his eye, but the worm in the fruit, that hurts. And that creates an anger that I see often with working with boys. And so that's how I started the process to save my family. Here it is, we got married in 1998, 2015, we're considering separation, all because I hadn't dealt with what was really hurting me. And so that began, and I could go on and on, but that's how the process started for me.
Are you guys still,
We're still 26 years in,
congratulations, bro.
and this is deep. So it's not like we still don't have problems.
Right.
We're scheduled to have another therapy session. I didn't want counseling. We wanted therapy.
Okay.
Because typically what happens when we're arguing with your wife or your spouse, we think it's that grown person, but it's the broken child within. And as you and I were talking, little Matt is hurt as well. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if Stack, you haven't really talked on a deeper level, but we live from that broken boy. And so I wanted to heal that boy so that I can be the man the moment demands. And instead of missing so many moments, I don't want to be an older man who has a lot maybe financially and far as success and accolades, but failed so much in life regarding my family. And so something that I hold dear to my heart and understand, even from, of course, spiritually, but even from a generational wealth standpoint, how important it is to stay in my family, how important it is for my children to see a man who could leave. I could leave. There are women I could sleep with, but I wanted to model what it really means to be a comprehensive man, what it means to be committed, what it means to keep the covenant I made with Nicole at the altar before the Most High. And it was just so much there, brothers, that I said, you know what? I fight for things that are far less worth than this. You know what I mean? Like, that are worthless compared to my marriage. Why am I not putting that same zeal in saving something that literally could create a legacy that can last throughout maybe 3 or 4 generations?
When you say you started with psychotherapy and therapy, how far into that journey? Now, I know we're always learning and always evolving. Did the light turn on for you?
I went to a retreat for men called the Crucible, and I didn't know what to expect. So imagine being in 3 days in the wilderness, no technology, no one can contact you, and you with maybe from 14 to 20 therapists and counselors. And as being a man of the Most High, these men were men of faith as well. And so I can't give a lot away because it would ruin the experience if you guys ever tried it. But at that point in my life, I needed to hear what I missed from my father. And so being around all these men who were not only men of faith, but were trained in psychology, they were able to help me go back to the times that had still kept me wounded as a man and resolve those issues. And so that's when I was able to finally cry about the neglect and the abandonment I felt from my dad, the lack of affirmation. But then to hear the words that he actually had said that I missed due to my pain, man, it was liberating. And so it takes, as men, we'll jump in front of bullets for our loved ones, our families, if we feel disrespected. But when it's time for us to deal introspectively with what we're dealing with, to go deep to that childhood, that pain, we run. Because I believe we're conditioned by society that whenever we feel weak, whenever we feel emotions of sadness, depression, we're pusillanimous or lacking courage. So that's why men with relationships, I don't want to marry her until I have everything together. Like, what's the hesitation? The hesitation isn't that you don't love her or you're unsure. The hesitation is that you really aren't the man that she thinks you are. Because you can't hide once you're married. They're going to see we ain't impervious to feeling insecure, feeling fear, feeling self-doubt, insecurities. But for me, I chose, it's nothing more liberating to tell my wife, yeah, I'm scared of this decision, but I'm gonna move through it. But in that moment, Nicole has told me that the fact that I can acknowledge the fear, but don't succumb to it, in her eyes makes me even more of a stronger man. And so I didn't want to end my life the way it was kind of given to me. I want to have my mind and just everything I'm involved in liberated. I don't want to live from wounds. I want to live from a healed heart.
That's a bar.
New book out. The Man, the Moment, the Man. Can you explain that to our followers?
The reason I titled that's my third book, probably my last in regarding the whole manhood series. How many of us as men are the wrong man in the moment? And we talked about that as well, often. The subtitle is Master the 10 Characteristics of the Comprehensive Man. So comprehensive is just another word for being complete. Most of us are stuck in the first gear of manhood, which I say is masculinity. And when you look up the word itself, it's just an adjective. It's not a comprehensive definition of what it means to be a man. But when you have a man who only can live by the attributes of strength, boldness, aggression, or being just a protector and provider, now his life is only performance-based, which a lot of athletes' lives are. Then you wonder why you can't trust anyone. It's hard for you to remain faithful because you can't, you feel that the women in your life is because of what you have and who you are. Well, no, what you do and not necessarily who you are. And so unpacking that to say, wait a minute, you telling me there's more to being a man than just providing and protecting? And there is. And the issue is a lot of us, and I tell women this as well, because they'll say, well, why won't my husband go to the doctor? Do you expect a man whose entire life is based on giving to go to the doctor to live longer, to continue to give and don't experience anything of what he worked so hard for? And they all get quiet. But to some extent, my brothers, that's our fault as well. If we keep wearing a superhero costume, why would we get mad at those who expect us to save the day?
Right.
We have to realize and say, and if anything, we need to be masculine about standing for the life that we desire and deserve and take the cape off that's strangling us. There is no freedom in the facade. And when we can stand on that, now we can experience the other characteristics. So the 10 are, I start with the fighter because I knew that would draw men in. The issue is that we fight, but we don't fight the right way. How many intellectually gifted men we know who are incarcerated from an emotional decision? So you got the fighter, you got the provider. The provider is an issue for me because we give to everyone but ourselves. We forget that we too are a part of the family, and then we get angry when we don't take care of ourselves. The lack of self-love we have, the affirmation. So I don't say self-love anymore because it's so foreign to us. I say self-maintenance. So as men, we understand what it means to maintain something. As an athlete, you understand I got to maintain this body for me to perform well and provide for my family. After the provider, you have the leader. Do you lead by intimidation or cooperation? Then after that, you have the lover, you have the nurturer. We're all nurturers. Some of the greatest coaches in history were the greatest nurturers. You have the gentleman. Being a gentleman or chivalry isn't dead. And when I studied that chivalry was not a system to pander to women, but it was a code of honor amongst the medieval knights. So here it is. These are warriors of their day, and they practice chivalry as their code of honor. But we've allowed society to make it seem like it's pandering to women to be chivalrous. After the gentleman, you have the friend. And then the deeper, with the devotion characteristics, the husband, the father, and the son. And I close with the son, similar to you, Matt. You know, my mother lost my mom. I wasn't a comprehensive man when she developed dementia. I was a masculine male. I knew how to provide and protect. That was it. But the Most High showed me, he says, the only way she's going to get the care she needs from you, you're going to become a nurturer. You're going to have to become long-suffering and patience. You're going to have to file her nails. You may have to wash her, massage her scalp. I would have never done that. But when she almost died from a mini stroke, I had prayed for her to die. I said, Most High, this isn't life. Why don't you just take her from me? She's not experiencing it, and it's really causing a lot of pain, not only to her, but our family. And he made it very clear. He says, Jason, that's not love, nor is that sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Sacrifice is not doing what needs to be done. It's doing what needs to be done that you don't want to do. And the greatest example of that is Messiah or Yeshua or who they call Jesus. Many people don't understand. We see that he died on the cross for our sins, but we missed the part in the Garden of Gethsemane where he was wavering back and forth like, I don't want to do this. It was something that needed to be done that he didn't want to do, but he pushed through it. So for me, with my mom, the sacrifice was, yeah, you're going to cry a lot now. Yeah, you're going to have to answer her 49 times after you told her the answer to her question 48 times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have to get up at 2 a.m, the same way you would have her worry when you were out hanging and didn't call, and she had to get up at 2 a.m. But when I became a comprehensive man, that process made me who I am today, and it made me even the teacher I am amongst boys. And so that's why I ended the book with the son chapter, because many of us aren't serving sons, we're still dependents. And it's important when you become a man that you get in a place where you can serve your parents.
It's crazy how, and I know you talk about a lot about how life can force you to be the person that you're supposed to be. You know, they'll tell you, I've always been a protector and provider. I feel like I got to jump in front of everything for all my friends. I've always been that guy. But losing my siblings, it changed me a lot. You know what I mean? And I can see I wouldn't have never. I hate to say I don't have them, but I would have never be the person that I am today if I didn't experience that. Because my mama tells my wife that she has the best version of me because of everything I went through. You know, I lost my sister and my younger sister, my younger brother, 2 months apart. And I don't think I still handle it right, but it made me a better person. It's making me a better person.
I mean, that's all we can do, brother. Even when my best friend dropped dead of a heart attack on the job with us. My other best friend here, Vic, he was in the room with him, still holding on to that. I've been in the gym many times, bro. I used to love lifting weights, and I would grab the weights and just break down crying. And it's been years since he's been gone, but his absence and not releasing it like I thought I had, man, you snap at things that like, man, where did that come from? Where is this anger coming from? And that's why I tell brothers, tears, when you release them the natural way, through crying, it releases stress hormones. All right. Now, if you don't cry that way, you're crying in other areas.
Yeah.
So you're crying with depression, you're crying with suicidal ideations, you're crying with
alcohol, drugs.
You name it. And so these crutches that we lean on eventually slip from underneath us. But it's a good thing, brother, you became a better version of yourself. Like even in parenting, one of the characteristics is the father. And I transparently share, I failed many times raising my daughter Alexis because I was just like you, hard, protector and provider. That was just my lane. That's all I ran in. But being a father, the children need you not to be perfect, but to be present. They don't need someone who's infallible, but someone who's faithful. My son has a better father than my daughter had, you know? But I still have to go back and make sure I'm still a better father to her now. What I mean by that is because of the memories and in the lack of affection, because I didn't get it from my mother. Not that she didn't love me, but I didn't realize till recently that because of my brother dying, she was scared to really commit all of her heart to me because she may lose another son. Until my brother Sinclair said he saw it, but never told me. And so here it is. I'm wondering why that lack of affirmation turned me into this teenager, and even in my early 20s, a man just seeking it through women and never could find it there. And so the goal is always to evolve. As men, we always want to have a standard, a goal, or a point to reach. There is no master level in manhood. You keep evolving, you keep evolving, you keep evolving. And that's the beautiful thing, when you can allow yourself that space and that freedom. Mistakes then become, instead of condemnation, they become our best teachers. And that's what I tell all men. It's like, look, I've never been a grandfather. When it's that time, I'm gonna have to find a man to teach me how to be one, because it's different from being a father. And I just, the goal is to live from the good in my heart. Growing up, we had to wear the facade. We had to look tough. One of the songs I used to joke about was E40's song, Practice Looking Hard. Literally, that's what we had to do. If you look soft in Detroit, you wouldn't make it. So you had to practice looking hard. You were conditioned that way. Even Drake says in one of his songs, I pop bottles because I bottle my emotions. So in the club, you may be doing this, but you miss what this brother is saying. He's saying, because I can't express how I feel, I got to get drunk. I got to get high. And that's not the path to freedom. That's why I think it's almost over 80% of homicides in the United States are committed by us. This is a lot of unreleased anger, trauma, and emotional loss. And crying is not something, especially from what you went through and myself, and even you, my brother, you just don't get over some of this stuff. It's a journey. And I tell my brothers who read my books, and some hardened street brothers, they call me like, man, why am I crying over everything, Jay? Like, it's just a cartoon I'm watching with my son, and I just start crying. I said, my brother, you backed up. Your entire life, you've been programmed to be stoic. A stoic, you can't really express or experience life. And that's why we so quick to commit suicide. And so I tell my brothers, like, look, you ain't tired of living, you're tired of not living. And instead of us complaining about this and that, let's finally fight for what we deserve. And in the process of doing it for ourselves, others will benefit.
What up, y'all? This is Matt.
Your boy Stack.
From the All the Smoke podcast.
Big news. We're teaming up with the ultimate sneaker plug, StockX.
You see it. It's on our feed. Let me put you on to something real quick. If you're serious about sneakers and style, you need to be on StockX.
For the rash kicks to the latest releases, StockX gives you access to everything you need to level up your game. No more missing out, just straight up access to what's next.
Head to StockX.com or download the StockX app to level up your collection.
It's the game changer. StockX. Now you know.
Tommy Johns have changed the game. Their underwear are the most comfortable I've ever worn. They're silky soft, breathable, and lightweight. If you don't believe me, check the waistband. Ever since Tommy John has been sending me products, it's all I've been wearing. They're the true MVP in the underwear game. What are some of the problems that other underwear brands give you that Tommy John doesn't? These things let my balls breathe. And that's the most important thing. They hold them nice and tight, but they can also breathe. So get you some. Double down with comfort on Tommy John and get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/smoke with the promo code SMOKE. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/smoke. I'll see you there. Tip off March basketball with Captain Morgan and DraftKings. Play free and take your shot at a share of $50,000 this March.
Head over to DraftKings.com/Captain Morgan to participate in the 5 free-to-play pools during college basketball's biggest tournament.
The contest starts March 16th and it'll go through March 28th. So enter now to get in on all the action.
Eligibility restrictions apply. Must be 21 plus to enter. Void where prohibited.
See DraftKings.com/Captain Morgan for details. Please drink responsibly. We kind of started talking to it earlier because I saw an interview you did with Lecrae and you spoke to the power of crying and I, kind of briefly shared my story of growing up biracial, black dad, Italian mom, drugs, abuse, alcohol, violence, losing my mom at 27, so it'll be 18 years this November, and I haven't cried in I mean, like I said, last time I think I cried was maybe 10, 11, 12 when I got my ass whooped. But outside of that, like, have not cried in so long. And from that time, from being the breadwinner, the provider through college, through the pros, through post-career, starting a business and hiring my friends and looking out for everyone and taking care of everyone, like always taking care of everybody. And it gets to the point where I'll be 45 next week. Like I'm starting to feel it now, you know, and I feel like I'm almost pouring from an empty cup. And, you know, through my actions, I literally just lost my family through being what you talked about, like I was the strong provider. I wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't empathetic. I wasn't willing to share those emotions. And that was stuff that my ex would tell me, like, you're a wall. And then again, trying to dig back and understand and starting counseling that, like you said, little Matt from back then is still hurt and still trying to find his way. Although grown Matt seems like he has it all, little Matt is there more than I realize. And how do you... So my question is, like, to all those men that can't or feel like they can or just won't, tears won't come out. I know it's such a refreshing and helpful and good thing to do as a man, but how do you cry if you don't? I don't want to say I don't know how to cry because I've cried before, but I haven't cried in probably 30 years.
You're guarded.
Too much.
You have to change your perspective of what crying is. You still, deep inside of you, you still believe it's a sign of weakness. It's really is a sign of you being human. And until we get to the place where we can release it, that's when you always feel this rage, this anger, never feeling settled. You gotta smoke some weed. You gotta get something to drink. You need to call that girl. And you don't even hear it taught enough about contentment. Like, when is enough? You know, why do I have to keep grinding and keep going? That's not peace. You know, and then speaking of peace, which it seems like the majority of us, that's all we want. Peace is not the absence of chaos, trials, tests, adversity. It's having a calm heart in the midst of those things. So the only way you can have a calm heart in the midst of all of that, for me, it had to start with my relationship with the Most High through Yeshua, Christ. After that, I had to put the work in because faith without works is dead, okay? Once I started putting the work in and digging deep and then shattering the misleading mantras we've been programmed to believe, it had to start there. I had to unpack, why can't I cry? But we honor, you guys are athletes. When you win a championship, no one dogs Jordan for crying over a trophy or Kobe. But I couldn't cry when my wife walked down the aisle. My best friend linked up in my ear, dog, if you cry, I'm hitting you in your kidney. What is that?
I cried.
Yeah, but you should. My wife, when she lost, had the 5th miscarriage, lost our daughter, Olivia. I'm next to her, and the doctor, he's rubbing the ultrasound, the gel over her stomach, and we don't hear the heartbeat. Whew, boy. And I'm sitting there stoic, because that's all I knew. I got to just be strong. You know what I'm saying? I can't cry in front of her. That's my daughter gone. But if I won a Super Bowl and cry holding it in the locker room, no one would say a word. That's crazy. That's insanity. So you have to start unearthing the lies. When we get there and understand, look, that ain't manhood. I want to be able to feel. Even like the concept of the alpha male, that's a lie. There is never a battle between two wolves, male wolves, to see who leads the wolf pack. The man who created the study, these wolves were even in captivity. So they weren't even in the wilderness. Come to find out, the alphas are the male and female wolf leading a wolf pack. So in essence, or the example of humans, you want to be the alpha, stay married to your wife and lead a family. That's the alpha. You see? But it's like the society and the world wants to keep us boxed in and locked in. And then they complain when they have a man who's less sensitive, less kind, less empathetic, less considerate, volatile, lacks patience. You can't have it both ways. And so with you, I would just ask, for me, with my mother, I could cry. If I see a few pictures of her, I'm gone. You're still guarded. Something happened in that time that you're still holding on to. And I would work with you. I tell you, come to Detroit, I got you.
Okay.
But I see it in your eyes now.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there. It's like a dam ready to break. But you got to be willing to say, look, all of this you got here, this ain't your identity. This isn't your identity. See, when you're performance-based, which is, my heart stays heavy for a lot of athletes that I work with, everyone wants something from you. You're graded as soon as you start dribbling a ball. Are you a 5-star, 4-star, whatever? Your whole life now, you're, okay, good. So who I am is based on what I do. You're programmed now. Then you wonder why you give, and you can't say no. Or, I give you this, what's the plan? I can't just give it to you. I want to teach you business. So I'm going to give you a loan. But if it fails, I got you. But if you succeed, you get me back. You can't do that because your worth, you have been hoodwinked into thinking your value is based in doing, performing, protecting. That's why it's so hard to take naps. Your brain never can sit still because you got to keep thinking how I'm going to make things happen. The beautiful thing with me, my wife, she runs our nonprofit. When our boilers went out, when we first bought the building, over $60,000. I wasn't worried. She was nervous. I said, God called us to do this. That's his responsibility to replace those. To be able to settle in that and be confident. And then I got called for an interview for my second book. And I prayed over the host. It was a Christian show in Texas. The vice president comes down and says, I'm going to give you $25,000 because you can't fake that. So that hit me and caught me off guard. Still wasn't enough to get the boilers. When I told him the price, he says, all right, I give you 30, but that still wasn't enough. I fly back to Detroit. I wasn't trying to figure out, worrying about how I'm gonna make this happen. He calls me. He texts me, he says, can you jump on a call? I said, sure. This man tells me, I thought about this and I prayed, and it hit me. How am I helping a man only giving him half? He sent $60,000 directly to our nonprofit account, and I just met him. That was the power. The scriptures say that the power of Christ is perfected in our weakness. Me allowing myself to be weak and powerless in that moment allowed his power to be perfected in me. So even if you can call yourself a man of God, you'll say, Brother Steph Curry has it on his shoes, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. I say that is possible for many of us. I mean, that is the truth, but can he do all things through us? So if we're only protectors and providers, he's limited if he needs us to go to an orphanage and just serve and wipe the faces of babies who are crying and they're blind or have disabilities, or help parents with children who are autistic. And because you're scared of crying in front of people, you can't even be used by him in those moments. And so who wants to live a life where all I got is based on just doing? It's misery. And that's what men want an escape from.
I would tell you this too, Matt. Like, what I had to learn too from losing 4 out of 6 siblings is when you cry, is, you know, a lot of people do think it's a sign of weakness, but that's your way of showing you miss them and the way you love them.
Say it, brother. You
know what I mean? That's why I'm cool with crying on the show. Like, I was just like you, Matt, but like, y'all know I cry all the time when something bothers me. I let them out because that's the only way I can show those people that I miss them and love them. And if I don't do it, it'll drive me crazy.
Yeah, no, I feel it's definitely bottled up. And like you said, there's a dam ready to be broken. Also, another thing I've wondered too is I feel like I can give love but can't accept it. I feel like I can't accept love.
We don't really get what we put into it.
Yeah, or again, we're workhorses, not war horses. See, a workhorse, all he does is work. A war horse not only works and is ready for battle, but he is maintained. You know a war horse because he is cared for. Workhorse, they send him off to somewhere to die when he's no good anymore. That's how we feel as men. It's somewhere in little Matt's life where you missed that. Somewhere where you didn't feel valued or loved or appreciated. Just in our 10-minute conversation, I hear it just from what you shared about certain individuals. So you're guarded. Your brain wants to protect little Matt because the pain of facing it feels too great. But that's where we need to go. And as men, it's like, look, yeah, you can be strong. You say you're a dog on the court, football, boxing, MMA. But let me see you be really a dog and face the issues that's stopping you from being the man that you need to be. And men, but once men are in a safe space where they feel that there's no chance of condemnation, that they see the other brothers open up, like what you just shared, I've never seen where men stay stoic. They start dropping their guards and they open up and they break down. Majority of men are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders and are waiting for somebody to say, how you doing, and really mean it. I had one guy, engineer for my audiobook, one of his children, but both are autistic. And he had shared, he was watching his son trying to do something we do effortlessly every day, brush his teeth. And his son was just struggling just to accomplish this one thing. And so as a man, you may have a friend like this, but it's not your problem, so you really aren't really empathetic towards your man's. Imagine driving to work with that. He broke down crying. He just needed an ear. Somebody said, man, I just acknowledged your pain. I acknowledge the hurt. So many of us, we never hear, man, that's a lot what you've been through. Matt, man, I see the tears welling up in your eyes. I couldn't imagine all of this happening. And then not knowing, why are you so guarded? Now it lets, like, now, I'm not crazy for the way that I feel. And maybe let me take another step to go a little deeper so that I can heal and break free from that. And like you said, my brother, about tears, it's honoring those that we've lost. A friend of mine, grandmother, had died at the funeral, and at the funeral, I'm sitting next to him. He couldn't cry. And as I'm listening to her obituary being read, this woman was a pillar, not only in the community, but their family. I just leaned next to him. I leaned into him. I said, hey, your grandmother deserved your tears. And I just leaned back. Matter of seconds, he broke down.
Damn.
He just needed the freedom.
Yeah. It's okay.
Permission to cry.
It's okay.
And we tell our sons to be fearless, right? No man is fearless. No one is fearless, because we all have something we love that we don't want to lose. When you tell a boy to be fearless, it'd be like one of my students. Well, he wasn't a student. He wanted to be in the cave. He went to a party he knew he shouldn't have been at because there was a rival gang there. Guys that didn't like him were jealous of him. He went anyway. Why? I ain't no hoe. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from doing what I need to do. Beautiful young boy. That was Saturday. I get a call. He got shot and killed.
Damn.
Watching his father, beautiful man, standing next to this casket like a soldier, wouldn't move. I'm not saying his dad told his son that, but look how many boys we teach to be fearless, and it's impossible. Then what you got to understand too, without fear, there's no room for courage, no need for it. But when you're scared and something is at risk, that's when they say, wow, he was courageous. But for me to walk from here to there, that don't take no courage. But let this be a pool of sharks, and it's only a 5-inch board I got to walk across to get to my daughter who may walk into this pit of sharks. That takes courage. What's even deeper, it takes love. We have to start becoming human again. When we do that and start living from the good in our heart, because we got bad in our heart, we all know that as men.
Definitely.
But the comprehensive man is courageous, but also compassionate, strong, but sensitive. He lives from the good in his heart instead of the fear of how he'll be perceived. And that's how I can move, man. I have battles every day mentally. Spiritually, I'm attacked often because of what I do. Look at the boys I'm trying to save in my community, and the fathers whose lives are changing. They no longer coming home yelling because they had a bad day at work. Oh, I got an adversary who don't like me. And I have wars I wage every day, but I keep going because I make sure I reflect on what's bothering me, release it before it becomes toxic so that I can reset and rest. I call that the 4 R's. I do that every day. I can do it while I'm fighting. I can do it while I'm talking with Nicole. I can do it right now here. Even if I'm talking now and I'm like, man, with Matt and Stack, I got to release that so that I can stay in this moment. And that's the power of being a verbal processor. That's the power of being emotionally intelligent. So now when these feelings arise, you're used to them. When sadness come up, I don't have to get angry. I can express the sadness. When fear comes up, I don't have to get angry. I can just express the fear. When depression arises, I don't have to get angry. I can just say, hey, I'm depressed, and then dig deeper. Why am I depressed? And that's the key, and that's comprehensive manhood. So, Brother Matt, this ain't really no interview no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not even trying to go off that.
That's over with.
Yeah.
That's over with. But
Yeah.
I just met you, and I'm looking in your eyes. I can see it. Little Matt, if you were to dig deep and close your eyes, can you tell us one emotion little Matt feels? Close your eyes. And ain't no rush. What one emotion little Matt feels?
First thing come to mind is scared.
Good. Why?
Of the unknown.
Good. Keep your eyes closed. What about the unknown? What is the unknown? Stay with little Matt, not Big Matt.
That there's just so many people depending on me that I'm going to let them down.
Why do you have a fear of letting them down?
Because I never have.
Who told you had to take care of them?
That's a good question. I just felt like I was the chosen one to do it.
Did your father ever tell you that? What messages did you receive from him?
Tough love.
Got it. So little Matt really didn't experience the love that he desired or needed to get from his dad.
No, not even close.
Did you ever feel that you had to perform for his love or be the best kid ever?
No, I didn't, to be honest with you. But I found out after my mom died that how fucked up his childhood was. So he was trying to learn on the fly and try to make up. And now it's funny you mentioned grandfatherhood. He's got 9 grandbabies now, and he's amazing grandfather. Like it's almost like his second act, because as a dad to us, it was volatile.
Most grandparents say that it's their second chance to get it right. How does that make you feel? The fact that you see your father love on the grandchildren in the way that you desired.
I mean, it makes me happy that they get to experience that.
That's cool. That's a good politically correct answer. That was excellent, man.
I mean, there's still times, like me and my dad, my mom died when I was 27. My dad had never hugged me, or me recalling, hug me and tell me he loved me. Up until that point, I don't even recall it. You know what I mean? So it's just like now we get along great. And I'm to the notion it's never too late to be a father. So when I see him be a great papa, I love it, but there's still some of me at times that'll be kind of like, you the same motherfucker used to beat my mom in front of me.
There you go.
What I
So
mean?
that's
It's
the
like that
real,
pain.
that's
Yeah.
where it's at. That's, out of everything you said, that's where it is. Have you ever shared with him how you feel?
Nah, super deep, surface level.
Let me give you some advice. My father was the master of tough love, and he had a cause and effect just like your dad, which is why I was able to forgive him and reconcile. It took for him to develop Parkinson's disease to slow him down, for me to have some time with him to really get to know him. The first time I heard my father say he loved me, I was 37 years old. But that couldn't have happened, Matt, until I confronted some things. Till I asked him, why was he so hard? Why did you curse out your middle school age son for making a mistake and turning on the heat instead of the AC in the barbershop and humiliating me in front of everyone? When I was able to hear his heart from where it came from, I was able to forgive him. And in that moment, the Holy Spirit said, tell your dad, thanks for being the dad you needed. So in me, I'm like, that's crazy, because I needed a different father. But I obeyed, and I said that, and I kissed him on his forehead. That's the first time I ever kissed my father. As I was walking out the room in the nursing home, I hear him breathing heavy. He was crying. It's the first time I saw my father cry. And I went back to him, and I laid my head on his chest. And we just cried like men. it was so liberating because for so long, I didn't know he held the guilt of not being the dad that he even wanted to be. Because he was hardened by his situation, the things he went through in Florida when it was racist, the pimp culture in Detroit. He was actually called to be a pastor, but a lot of the pimps became pastors, and he says, I never want to be a hypocrite, so I just rather live this life, and he ran from it. And as a result of that transparent moment, I asked him, what would you like me to promise you that I could live out? He said that I would preach the gospel and that he would hear it. Both of those were fulfilled. While your father is living, don't give the enemy 2 stones. What I mean by that is, when he die and you're not reconciled, you're going to have heavy regrets. Just allow 1 stone, meaning you get hit with 1 stone is death. 2 stones is, man, I wish I coulda, shoulda, and woulda.
I wish there was so much I could ask my father right now.
So you have a chance that many young boys and men don't get. And your father may need you to help him, dude. They didn't have, men of that era couldn't talk like this.
There wasn't no talking.
Yeah, and that, so that the realness was, you the same, whatever you said used to beat me. That's resentment. That's hurt. So you're living from the anger instead of releasing those real emotions. That's why I say, what's the real emotion? When you start expressing the real emotion, then the tears gonna come. The anger it's a front. It's safe for us to express that.
Simple,
it's real
quick.
safe. We go there real fast. But to say, man, you neglected me, Dad. I tried my best to be your best son and you still missed me. Here it is, I'm in the NBA, I'm doing great things. You still missed me. That has to come out. And that's why you backed up. You need an emotional enema. That's what I tell men. You gotta release it. It's gonna lock you in. Like my best friend Vic here, struggled with PTSD from being a police officer and other things that happened. He was driving his truck, and he got overwhelmed with anger, and he was clenching the steering wheel so fierce that his fingernails imprinted his palm. And he has a big pickup truck. But for him to be that intense with anger and not knowing where it come from. But his wife died, and I can go on and on and on. And if you're not crying about that a lot, and you got to be strong for everyone else. He has a young son, and how many friends are emotionally intelligent where they can be there with you and not judge you? Yeah. That's why we lose it.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a thing with me. And that's another thing I fear that's just like, one, it could be something small, like me flying off the edge and jumping on somebody's ass. You know what I mean? Just because that's the quickest emotion, the easiest emotion, just that anger is.
Do you want to be free from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
All right, I want you get with me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do it.
Help you work through that with all these lights and cameras.
Yeah. We're now going to play King of the Hill with current NBA players' shoes. And this is brought to you by the one and only StockX.
All right, so first up, AE1s versus the Ja 2s.
Ooh, I'll go with the Ja 2s.
Ja 2s versus Sabrina 2s.
Ooh. Sabrina might have one of the best shoes in the game, male or female. I got to go with Sabrina's.
Sabrina 2s versus Harden Volume 9.
I'm going to go with Sabrina 2s.
Sabrina 2 versus Curry Fox 1.
Definitely want to shout out Steph because your shit has come a long way, bro. But I'm still going to go with Sabrina's.
Sabrina versus Puma MB4. That's LaMelo shoe.
Kids are rocking with these LaMelos, but I'm going to go with the Sabrina's.
Sabrina 2 versus LeBron 22.
That just sounds crazy, bro. 22 years of your own shoe, that's dope as hell. But I'm still going to go with Sabrina's.
Sabrina 2 versus Dame 9s.
Sabrina's looking strong today. I'm not even going to lie to you. I used to wear Dame shoes when I played too. They were super comfortable, but I'm going to go with Sabrina's.
Sabrina 2 versus Tatum 3s.
Tatum is my dog too, but I'm going to go with the Sabrina 2s.
Sabrina 2 versus Curry 12s.
Again, these Under Armours have come a long way, but I'm still going to go with the Sabrina's.
Sabrina 2 versus AR2 by Rigor.
Hey, shout out AR, man. He's definitely doing his thing. Gino's a hater, AR. We fuck with you over here at All the Smoke Productions. Don't listen to him. But still going with the Sabrina 2s.
Sabrina 2 versus KD 17s.
17 years of your own shoe. That's dope, KD. And I like this colorway. They're wild. But I'm still going to go with the Sabrina 2s.
Sabrina 2 versus Luca 4.
I think it's going to be a clean sweep. Sabrina's. Sabrina, my twins need some shoes, man. I just outdid you with everybody. So we definitely, and I know you got a Crespi connection too. We're going to need some Sabrinas. And make sure you guys stay fresh with StockX.
Bro, it's been a long day of work, man. I'm ready to get baked.
You ain't never lied.
No. I mean toasted,
Yes, sir.
gooey, melted. It's gonna be nice.
Wait a minute, bro. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Jimmy John's, bro. After years of perfecting the cold sandwich, Jimmy John's is turning up the heat on their sandwich game.
Jimmy John's toasted sandwiches are finally here. Try one of their 3 new toasted sandwiches with like my favorite, the chicken bacon ranch, roast beef and cheddar, or the ultimate Italian.
Or why not try one of your Jimmy John's favorites, toasted?
Each sandwich is the perfect combination of crunchy and melty. They're here and they're hot.
Order online at jimmyjohns.com, the Jimmy John's app, or stop by your local Jimmy John's for a perfectly toasted sandwich. Satisfy your toast buds.
I've teamed up with DraftKings and their new Pick 6 app. With the NBA season winding down, there's still time to win big. And for the home stretch, DraftKings is giving all new customers a great offer. Right now, new customers play $5 and get $50 instantly in Pick 6 credits. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use my promo code SMOKE. Playing Pick 6 is simple. Pick at least 2 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. So download the Pick 6 app now. Sign up using my code SMOKE. Only at DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Your youth development group, Union, which is your old record label.
Yeah.
How did you transition from, you know, we skipped over a little bit of stuff, but you DJ'd.
Yeah.
You found some peace in DJing and worked with a lot of big people, big names in that space. Where did the transformation from DJing into giving back to men?
Yeah. It came, first and foremost, when I was a secular DJ, just producing music, just wanting to become the #1 producer and DJ. It didn't matter what type of music I put out. But when I surrendered my life to the Most High, that all changed. And then I saw myself as a hypocrite. Because here it is, I'm trying to mentor youth out of the life that could lead them astray, but yet my music was the soundtrack for it, okay? When we started the Union, when I got the vision to do that Union Records, all the music was Christ-centered, it was encouraging, empowering. But what we noticed is that when the song stopped, the kids still had the issues. They still had the trauma. They still had to deal with the environment they were in. And that's when I decided to go after our nonprofit, and we transformed from Union Records to the nonprofit, the Union. And we've reached over 17,000 youth since 2003. And the Cave of Adullam, which is the Transformational Training Academy, where I use the martial arts as one tool to help men, well, boys, to navigate through the pressures of this world without succumbing to their emotions, by first teaching them that it's okay to be emotional. And then with the biblical principles and, of course, the presence of their fathers there, it's truly a transformational space. You'll see the boys have their emotional breakdown. We call it a moment on the mat, when I'm able to get them to see, okay, this is why you're failing in school. This is why you're talking back to your mother. This is why you fear walking your own path. The father who is watching starts getting emotional because he sees himself on the mat. So if you were there and I'm working with your sons, you'll not only see them, you'll see little Matt on the mat. And in them finding freedom, you're going to request the same. And then you actually learn how to become emotionally intelligent, because you watch me help them process their emotions as well. And so that's how that all started. And we're trying to make it a school now, because I want to scale the Cave of Adullam. I don't want it to die with me. And we get a lot of requests. Chicago, Atlanta, LA, can you please bring it? Requests for Ghana. So we want to make it a middle school with the Cave of Adullam as the physical education piece. So imagine all of the core subjects are surrounded by that principle of emotional stability, mental resilience, respect, and all the other codes that we teach in the Cave of Adullam. Now the student takes those principles into the classroom. Then there's community service. We teach dining etiquette, grooming etiquette, financial literacy. All of these principles now are in one hub, and that's what can be scaled. If it stays the way it is now, it'll die with me because I'm anointed for it, which I believe the next person who has it has to have that as well, because it takes more than martial arts skills to help boys navigate through their trauma and emotional pain. But it's a lot easier when it isn't just that. You know? So that's my desire. We're going to pilot it this summer as we'll call it the Cave Camp, and they get to go study math and science.
Ages? What ages?
Ages 8 through 12. We have them for 8 hours, which is really good.
It's a long day. Yeah.
We want to see how it would really work in the school environment, and so we're really excited about that. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish more rap artists make empowering songs to empower the youth instead of them talking about guns and violence and stuff like that?
I mean, yeah, of course, I would. Would love that more rappers would have that on their heart when they're writing their songs. But more importantly, I want them to live it. It's you could find 1 or 2 good songs on the album, but then we listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
you have one good song, and then one of my students hear it. Now he buys your album. Now he don't like women because of this other song.
Yeah.
So I understand where they are because I was there. I compromised my gift to try to get record deals. Started producing music for rappers. My good friends, the lyrics didn't match my heart. But it was the only way to get a record deal. We started with Chaos and Maestro was my first group. We was friends with Chuck D, Public Enemy. He even let us open up for him twice. But that shifted when the music industry shifted.
Right.
And now you can only get a record deal if you rapped a certain way, you act a certain way, you talked a certain way. So I get it, but now the power is now back to the artist. And you have the power to really shift the culture. So yeah, I would love for them to do that because I see the result of what's being produced. When the kids come, their behavior, their mindset. And as a DJ, you can't tell me there's no power in music to change.
Right. No way.
I would throw on certain songs when the party was kind of dead or I just wanted to go meet a girl. I knew what songs to throw on to make them fight. And I just throw on certain music, just wait. Next thing you know, a chair, bang, bang. I'm packing up, ready to leave. Give me my money. I'm going to get something to eat and meet this girl. So you can't tell me there's no power in music. And we have to hold each other responsible for that. It's a powerful tool. It's a powerful gift. But the thing is, because I'm reached out by a lot of rappers, who are real popular, I'm like, cool, I appreciate the DM. I admire the fact that you're seeking, but let's go deeper.
Yeah.
And that's the stopping point for a lot of us as men, because to many of them, I'm like a father they didn't have. So when you finally could get with a man who cares for who you are and not what you do, even when I work with NFL players or basketball players, I'm not really a fan of what you do. I'm a fan of who you are as a man.
Right.
When you meet someone like that, now you got to drop your guard. And I'm not going to crush your heart. I'm not going to crush even your ego. I'm going to give you the space to feel and to fail in that moment so that you can heal. Once you get them to see that different, they won't even want to make the music that way.
Yeah.
And so I'm a principled person. So making one song and your heart hasn't changed won't really change the culture,
Agreed.
A sense of community has been lost. We have a real mutual friend that I wish he was in every state in the United States, because a lot of things will be different in New Era Zeke. That's my brother.
Oh, yeah.
What do we need to do to continue to support people like that, or just to get that contagious in every state? Because what he's doing is showing how we need to take care of our community, provide for our community, and care about the children in our community. He's showing that on a high level. And for it to be like with social media, for him to be doing it, it's still not contagious as it should be in every other state. How do we support people like that and get that going everywhere? Because that would make a big change.
The mind of our people. Zeke actually had posted something recently. He said that more parents are concerned with Big Meech's paperwork than their children's schoolwork.
Posted that the other day, yeah.
Okay. That resonated with me because of the work we've been doing for over 21 years now. You can help the child, but send them back to the parents who are still wounded and dealing with unresolved trauma, you name it. So you see how passionate Zeke is, his commitment and zeal. When I look at my brother, even myself to some extent, and you really look at the problem, we're sowing seed on infertile ground. We haven't broken up the trauma, the lies, the systemic racism, all of this that has our minds like this. And as a people, we like this. And until we can till that soil of our minds and open it up and renew the mind, all of the seeds will stay on the surface and the birds will keep coming, taking it away. That's why millions are spent on this type of work. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, why is it worse now than it was 20 years ago? And we have more money. People see what Zeke does, but they don't understand what he's been through to make him that way. You see what I mean? His mind isn't like the majority of people.
Right.
So again, we got to go to the principle as a people, as a fighter, for instance. Oh, let's stay in sports. We were talking about this. If you had to play, I don't care, say the Bulls, and y'all on the same team, do you only look at the Bulls film and don't look at yours, or do you look at both?
Both.
Both. In our community, we tend to only look at what's being done to us. Instead of saying, okay, cool, what do we need to do to improve? What are our strengths and weaknesses? How do we eliminate these weaknesses and become stronger? That's what has to happen first. See, our minds are not renewed. We've fallen even from the faith where we used to be. We've been in church, but we weren't in Christ, like literally walking that out. You know, you can't just pray things away. You know what I mean? The scriptures even say faith without works is dead.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a doer. It's also written, don't be a hearer of the word, be a doer of the word. So it's so much there that we have to heal our people. So even with parents who may not be doing the greatest of job raising their children, when you talk to them, pull them aside, and they break down, man. I had mothers literally say, can I just get a hug? I can't contain it, and just cry, weeping. Fathers, I've never, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen a father who didn't love their children. I saw a father who didn't love himself. He would feel less of a man because he couldn't do more. And so he felt that isolation was the answer, and it's not. So my thing is helping our people heal, helping our community hold each other responsible in love, meaning I'm not on you just to be on you, I'm on you because I love you. And then that's when I believe things will change. Zeke is a unicorn, brother.
Man.
You know what I mean? And
Love him to death.
and he's a solid brother, and if it just stays him, the problem gonna keep existing. The issue is that Zeke is running his lane, but when is everyone else gonna start running theirs? Running their lanes,
How did martial arts become a staple in the development of the youth you work with?
I always wanted, that father figure, that man who could teach me the way, to manhood. Of course, every young boy wants to know how to fight. And so you'll see the senseis, the old martial art movies, the students come in and bow to the instructor, all wise, and no one could touch them. So I longed for that. And so I started training in that, and it became my outlet. But the martial arts isn't enough, though. When I started the Cave of Adullam, the popular thing was scared straight programs. You remember those?
Yeah.
When you take a kid who was troubled into the prisons, and hopefully the prisoners would scare him straight, and you would pay the prisoners. It didn't work, and now everyone realized, how can you help a kid overcome trauma by re-traumatizing him?
Damn.
It didn't work. What about the boot camps? You don't see them anymore. The kids, they would put on the front, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. All you're doing is yelling at them. You think yelling is going to help a boy who's wounded from his father not being there or his mother not being there? That's like stitching up a wound with a needle and no thread. That's all you're doing. You're hurting him more and more and more. I came to the mentoring space that way. Discipline, focus, strength, fortitude. The kids in Highland Park, Michigan, which was a tough neighborhood at the time, they didn't need that. They needed love. They didn't need more discipline. They didn't need to be scared straight. They needed to be healed. So from the martial arts, I said, cool, I'm going to keep some of this, but let me give these boys a space where they can express how they feel. Mm-hmm. The kids I was giving for the pilot program, I think about 6 were in danger of not graduating. They all did. One of the evaluations of the Cave of Adullam, that over 78% of our students improved their grade point average by 1 letter grade without tutoring. Mm-hmm. What's happening? I'm allowing them to unpack what's stopping them from performing to their potential. When you give a boy or a man that space to be human, he excels. You can't stop him. He's going to be the protector and provider. That's innately in all of us. But now you're telling me I can be a nurturer and it doesn't mean I'm feminine? I can be compassionate, it doesn't mean I'm weak? I can have empathy for someone and it doesn't mean I'm pusillanimous or naive? Man, the whole world would change when that happens. And that's my desire. The martial arts, what I love about it, you can't hide. Mm-mm. Sports, we can hide. When a fist coming at you, you can't hide. When someone gets your back and starts choking you and you fight and you can feel it, you can't hide. That's going to bring up some emotions. It's going to bring back some flashes like, whoa, I remember that kid bullied me. I had a man literally go in a fetal position remembering the time he was bullied. Thankfully, I was the right man in that moment, could help him come out of that. Talk to him like, where are you? What are you feeling? When he was behind me, remind me of this happening and this happening. Or pressure at work. That pressure, get off me. And you lose all of your technique. In sports, we see emotions ruin games that should have been won easily. I had a young guy I worked with in the NFL. He correlated being pulled out of the game as abandonment associated with a wound in childhood. I had to help him unpack that lie. Beautiful young brother. In the NBA, you see it all the time. I was working with one brother, I can't say the team, an NBA team. His fear was missing a free throw because he didn't want to get talked about. And he traced it back to other wounds. I said, well, let's eliminate.
That could be anybody.
Yeah, okay, cool, good. So, yeah.
All them up.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. So you hilarious. So let's eliminate the threat. I mean, he said, so what do you mean? I said, well, we can stop missing. I mean, his fear was the air ball. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. We can stop that. He said, how? I said, just hit the rim. Don't try to make the shot hit the rim.
That's simple.
Then that led to other conversations. He had his best game that season, that night, because he was allowed to express how he felt. And then he shared something else I appreciated. He said that when the coach had pulled him out of the game, he thought it was because he wasn't performing well. I said, did you ask him? He was like, no. I'm like, why are you assuming? They're the coach right there, ask him. But it's this invisible wall between the players and the coaches. I can't let them know I'm feeling this or this way because they may not play me. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of players play injured, like serious injuries, because they don't want to lose their spot. I know coaches who are struggling mentally, personally, they fear letting the team know that then they will lose their respect. But they don't understand when you allow your team to see that you just a man just like them, and don't let the coach be a comprehensive man where he could possibly shed a tear because of something personal, not because he lost a playoff game. Now those men will come around him and support him.
Different respect.
So now you won't just have the same uniform on, you actually be a team. And that's the power of comprehensiveness and being a comprehensive man. But and that's the benefit as well from community, camaraderie, just having open conversations. And the word, what is it? They say, let's be vulnerable. Like, no. I tell men, never be vulnerable. That's the wrong word. We're trying to tell you to be emotionally open and transparent. Vulnerability or being vulnerable is actually you putting yourself in danger or at risk of death. If we had no guns and 10 guys came in here with guns, we're vulnerable.
Very.
All right? No good man, he say very, no good man, no good father would ever want himself or his family in vulnerable positions. Right. So we want to be transparent and open. When you allow that to happen, this will happen. If we were alone without these lights and cameras on, Matt would be crying.
Me too.
Yeah. And so that's what it takes. It's just like, okay, let's be open with each other. Like I just my first time meeting you, and I care about you because I know what it feels like to hold on to all of that.
I want to be there too.
Yeah, you need to be there.
Because I know, I cried when his mom passed, so I know.
That's how we became close.
That's
We
how
was
we became
teammates
best
when it
friends.
happened, and he was there every day, bringing me something, coming to watch a movie, bring me some weed, we could smoke. That's how we really went from
moms was
teammates
like this,
to brothers,
so I
and
couldn't
our
imagine.
moms were close. Yeah,
You have to be there because I probably would need you as far as in some role playing.
Yeah, and I got my own stuff that I need to let out.
Okay, cool. We'll make it happen.
we gonna make it. I told you we coming to Detroit later in the summer. LA, we're in the home of the gang capital. You grew up in Detroit, pimping and that kind of stuff. What do you tell brothers in the cycle? Because I think a lot of times you can't see it while you're in it. How do you break free from that? Or what is the first step of breaking free from that vicious cycle? Because we want them to put the guns down, but then what? We want them to stop pimping, but then what? Like they're doing it for a means of survival most of the time. And we're telling them to stop, but then we don't replace what they were doing with anything else. So what is the first step in your mind to start walking down the right path or a better path?
We as men who are successful at doing it need to model it. Like really model it. And
Like we do everything else.
Yeah, you have to model that. I remember I was going to the airport. I was LAX, and a guy looked just like Nipsey. Stopped me, tattooed tears, and he had the marathon tattooed on his chest, and he says, there's something about you, I just want to tell you something. I didn't know where this was going. He says, God is with you, and he says, don't lose the faith. And so we just started talking, and I looked at his hand, and he had broken his 2 knuckles here. And that's typically the
Boxing
the
fracture.
knuckles.
Right.
Yeah, it's from fighting because you're punching incorrectly. You're supposed to strike with these 2. That's why these protrude out further than these 2. I can condition these to break. And so I said, can I help you with something? I used that moment, even though I didn't know him, to pour into him. And he thought I was talking initially about teaching him how to punch. I said, yes. I said, but let me teach you how to hit the things in life that are breaking you. I said, so if you're using the wrong tools for that moment, you're going to break instead of you breaking it. And I wish I could see this young man again because I love, that's what I love. Not necessarily the cameras, the attention. If you can put me with the gang, I don't care who it is, put me in a room with them because I love them. I know they just misguided. I know what happened, the system, what's setting them up. But yet they're so gifted and beautiful. And they can navigate if we teach them. So many of us get to a place in life where we're good and then we complain about them. And that was the issue I found with the boys when I first started the cave. I would go into many schools, the hallways and the lockers was kicked and punched in. When I started asking like, what's going on? Where's this anger coming from? The general census was everyone expects us to act like a man, but we ain't got one here teaching us. So the first step is us teaching them, being there with them. We all got some influence. That's why I use my platform. The young boys who come up to me, I had gang members stop at the cave. I ain't have my gun on me walking out at the time. I didn't know what to expect. I knew the car, they hanging out, and I got middle school kids walking to see their parents. The war in me, I said, okay, cool. They can't feel fear or that I'm not prepared for this. So I just walk straight to them fast. Guy get out, look broken. I said, what's up? He says, Mr. Wilson. I said, yeah. He says, I just want to come shake your hand. He said, my father just died. And you're like a father to me on social media. And I just hugged him. I prejudged him because of what society teaches us about our boys who look a certain way. Brother was just grieving. And he says, please keep these kids away from what we do. This is not the way. So right there lets you know they don't want to do what they do. So as you said, how can we help them? It's not about talking, it's about doing. And it's even deeper than doing. It's about really modeling it. Like, what does it look like when the cameras ain't on? Do your kids really love you? It's easy for me not to cheat on my wife because what can a woman say to me that my wife hasn't already said? My wife means it. You don't even know me. You know what I mean? And I'm a trip at times. You know what I mean? I admit it. But my wife still loves me. When kids can see that, they can see the unity of a family and the families aren't breaking down like, oh snap, this is cool now. So how are you tough, but you can't deal with the emotions of like our wives or kids or whatever? When they can see a man, no matter what's going on, he's on fire and he's still moving through. It's like Moses when he saw the burning bush. It wasn't the fact that the bush was burning. It was the fact that the bush was burning and it wasn't consumed. That's what made him stop like, whoa. So when they see us on fire with the stresses of life, the things that we've gone through, and we ain't consumed and we keep moving, they'll stop and say, yo, something about Matt I like. The fact I didn't know he went through that with his mom. I didn't know his father. I didn't know this. And he made it. I can make it. Stack, I didn't know this about you. I didn't know that you cry, man, you look hard as hell. You know what I mean? It's like, you cry too? Okay, cool. I want to cry because my best friend just got shot. We normalize our children hearing gunshots. That's not normal. When we model it, then they're set free. The cave of Adullam is successful because I gave them what I longed to have. A man who's committed but won't condemn you, will teach you the way of a warrior of Yah and still be with you regardless if you fail or not. I tell them at the door of the cave of Adullam, I say, you ever seen a door at the mouth of a cave? They say, no. I said, you'll never see a door here. You can come in and out as you want. And I'm gonna love you the same way. When you feel this training is over, as long as you don't stop before the rite of passage is complete and you wanna do something else, I'm here for you. I've had students couldn't make it, couldn't complete it. Still there, still love them. They said, man, I don't know a lot of men like that, but I know one on Oakland Boulevard in Detroit where I can go to if I'm struggling. How many former NBA players have that heart like you got? What you've been through wasn't meant to destroy you. It was to refine you. We allow it to destroy us when we hold on to it. You can't hold it. You're supposed to release it. It's not yours anyway. A lot of times we think that we weren't good enough for our parents, but it's actually the opposite. They weren't good enough in their lives for us. Whatever happened, who knows? They just weren't in the right place. That's the power of forgiveness. You ain't letting no one get away with nothing. It's releasing you. It's freeing you from the pain, the hurt, the resentment. I forgive you and I mean it. And that's the liberation in that.
Before we get out of here, remind us of the 4 R's again.
4 R's is reflect, release, reset, and rest. So in the morning and in the evenings, I practice it, and I practice it throughout the day. I reflect on what could be troubling me. It could be good things as well. But if it's something bad, I think on it, meditate, pray. And then if it's something that I don't need to revisit, like if I offended my wife earlier, I don't want to release that. I want to hold that. I want to retain that. That's another R. So we can revisit it and I can apologize. But if it's negative or it can become toxic, it's not good for me or what I'm called to do, I release it, let it go. It's called shalak, cast it away. After I release it, now I'm able to reset to my baseline where I need to be. Then after that, I'm in a constant state of rest. When we say we tired, we don't need sleep. We want rest.
Man.
Freedom from whatever wearies the soul. And that's the key. And so when you practice releasing and resetting, or reflecting, releasing and resetting, then you can finally find rest.
Beautifully said. The Man, the Moment Demands is out now. You can follow Jason at Mr. Jason O. Wilson on socials. Man, we want to thank you. This was dope. And I'm definitely looking forward to picking this up man to man and really, because like I said, it's been something I want to do. Like I said, I have a quote that's tatted on me from Tupac. I'm dying inside, but outside I'm looking fearless. Like I feel like that's the story of my life. Like I've always been, damn, he's a tough light-skinned motherfucker. He's always, but it's I don't want to have to be. That's just who I've been
so even in that,
to be.
You're saying so much. I wish I had time. Even in how you had to be because you're light skinned.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's a lot you've been programmed to feel that's not accurate.
Mm.
And so when we get out of
Yeah,
here,
we
you
gonna
know,
connect.
we can dig. It's you right there.
Yeah.
Your brother see it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, I know a lot of time people don't like to have this stuff, recorded and for the world to see. But for me, for the way a lot of people look at me and think about me, I would love to have mine televised because it's going to touch a lot of people. A lot of stuff that I've been through, even with the George Floyd, me calling off the wedding, like it resonates to a lot of people, a lot of young men too. A lot of them text me like, bro, I appreciate you because I was about to get married, no same type of situation, but I didn't have the guts to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of stuff in my life, I have touched a lot of young men, but I know me releasing a lot of stuff that I have built in for the world to see and seeing me vulnerable, it'll help a lot of people.
See,
And I
you
think that's what it's all
transparent.
about.
Say transparent.
Yeah, transparent.
See, there you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm the same way. That's why I allow.
Use transparent instead of vulnerable.
Yeah. So I allow myself to be seen because there's freedom in that.
Yeah.
So like, if Yeshua, Jesus was walking through the streets of Jerusalem openly crying because the people were like sheep without a shepherd, what do I have to be ashamed of?
Right.
Nothing.
So I want that freedom. I should be able to cry in front of anyone, express how I feel. Now, if you're not the person who can receive it or value it,
That's on you.
thank you for letting me know.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm not going to change. I'm not going back into emotional incarceration just to be a part of your circle.
Emotional incarceration.
No. And
This
that's
yeah.
where you are.
Yes.
We're going to break you free, though.
You used the P word earlier. I couldn't look at
Pusillanimous?
what does that mean?
It means lacking courage and strength.
Pusillanimous.
Pusillanimous. Yeah. Instead of, I would often pray, when I was crossing over fully into walking with Christ, I wanted alternative curse words. I liked Malcolm X when he said that he's too intelligent to curse. So he read the dictionary. So he had a vast vocabulary. So I had prayed for alternative curse words. So instead of saying the P word, Pussy, I use pusillanimous. So I don't ever want to have to conform to the way I was. I want to be more intelligent.
Continue to grow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
This has been one of the most enlightening, one of the most enlightening episode we've had. My favorite episode personally, and I want to thank you for that. This wasn't an interview. This was a conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. You can find this at All the Smoke Productions YouTube and the DraftKings Network. We'll see y'all next week.
You ever had one of those moments when you want to elevate your night? Maybe it's a dinner with friends or a celebration that calls for something extra? That's where Grand Marnier comes in. You probably heard of it, but have you tried the signature drink? The Grand Margarita. It's the twist of a classic margarita. It has the smooth richness of Grand Marnier's cognac, and combined with orange liqueur, a bit of citrus, and just the right amount of sweetness, with a taste like that, it's perfect for any occasion. Whether you're chilling at the crib or out with friends, a Grand Marg remixes a regular cocktail into something extraordinary. Don't just settle for a good cocktail when you can have something grand. It's about making your next drink one to remember. So when you're making your next margarita, remix it and make it grand with Grand Marnier. Grand Marnier liqueur, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. 2025 Campari America, New York, New York. Drink with style, drink responsibly.
This episode is brought to you by Boost Mobile.
Boost Mobile is now a legit nationwide 5G network. I know we stay joking, but let me take a second to put on my serious voice, because this isn't a joking matter. Me personally, I would never joke about a 5G network that has invested billions in building 5G towers across the country.
Me neither.
Not even once.
Me neither.
Feel me?
Boost Mobile is now a legit nationwide 5G network and also provides coverage across 99% of America. Seriously. Visit boostmobile.com or your nearest Boost Mobile store for more information.
The Boost Mobile network, together with our roaming partners, covers 99% of the U.S. population. 5G speeds not available in all areas.